They're two of the biggest shows on Broadway, Funny Girl and The Music Man, starring some of the biggest stars on the planet. But what happens when the name on the marquee can't make it to the stage? You call on the standby. The pandemic has shown us just how important these great actors really are. Let's send it out to Paul Wontorek.
Max Clayton is covering the role of Harold Hill, played by Hugh Jackman in The Music Man. And Julie Benko stands by for Fanny Brice in Funny Girl and is currently playing the part full-time ahead of Lea Michele's arrival. I spoke with the talented duo at the Citizen M Hotel. You are both in two of Broadway's biggest musical revivals. Julie, you are the standby for Fanny Brice, and then you will be going on, what, once
a week, Thursday nights.
Every Thursday night.
Every Thursday night.
Julie Benko
yeah,
night.
I'll be here every Thursday.
Wilson.
Try the View.
And Max, you have been working for a really long time with The Music Man.
Yes.
You were with Hugh Jackman throughout the entire creation process of the show. Is that correct?
That is correct. I was brought on board right before the pandemic in the fall of 2020.
When you were in Moulin Rouge.
When I was in Moulin Rouge, and
Yeah.
I was doing a dance lab where we were creating a lot of the numbers with Warren Carlyle and Jerry Zaks and our creative team, because he was out of town filming, and they needed somebody to just stand in and sort of be a body.
Right.
And that's truly how my journey began.
And you have gone on.
I have,
You
yes.
had this COVID emergency not long ago.
Yeah.
You know, COVID comes and
I
goes.
know,
in
I know. You
Broadway
never know.
companies.
You never know. It's been wild. It happened. I got the call that I was going on the day after the Tony Awards,
Right.
which was a crazy
Right.
night for me. And Matt, my partner, who had
Matt
just
Doyle
won, Matt
won
Doyle.
a Tony Award on Sunday.
I won
Then
it-
Tuesday,
I
you
was
were
playing Harold Hill,
Professor Harold Hill
on Broadway.
When you get these jobs, your friends are sort of like, well, let me know when I can come see you. But it's great when you can actually be like, this is the week, or this is the weekend, I'm on, like.
Yeah, well, I actually found out, like, when I got cast, I assumed, I was like, oh, I'll never go on, you know. And then a couple days before rehearsal started, the man making my wig, you know, he was measuring my head and he said, so, you're going on so soon in the run? I said, excuse me? So then, you know, then they told me, but it took a minute. It was, rehearsals hadn't even started yet. So, so then I found out I had these days, and yeah, I was so scared for so long, and
Right.
I would go home. You know, your job is to like watch everything and tape everything and go home and just be ready.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's terrifying. And
Yeah.
then you go on and you sort of like black out. And you're like,
Yeah.
you enter this weird focus state where your body sort of takes over. It knows, because you've done it in your living room that many times, so it just knows what to do.
I feel like audiences have become very used to and very open to sort of the fun of, who are we seeing tonight? You know, you used to hear classic stories of, you know, unfortunately tonight's performance,
Right.
Hugh Jackman, and then the whole audience
Right.
groans, and then
Right.
the understudies backstage like, oh, well, great. That's not really happening right now. There's a real celebration in the community and beyond.
100%. And I think taking the job, this was pre-pandemic, I thought it would be that. And I'm so blown away by the support of the cast, especially the audiences, the creative teams, the producers who are celebrating all of us. The fact that, I mean, Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster are truly the greatest leaders I've ever worked with, and I think it's going to be very hard to top. They're such wonderful people, first and foremost, and the fact that they have taken the time to stop the show essentially after bows every time to celebrate us is something that we don't take for granted at all.
Normally I have gotten entrance applause, but there were a few times where people, they just didn't know.
Yeah.
They're like, who is that? You know, the lights come up and there wasn't. And then to feel that, and then feel the switch happen after Greatest Star, where literally like the first lines are like, I'm the greatest star, I am by far, but no one knows it. And people would laugh because they didn't know who I was. And then at the end of the number, like suddenly I could feel how excited they were. It's like this meta theatrical moment where they're like, it's an unknown person, and now suddenly I'm invested and I'm so excited to be there for this person who I never heard of before, and now they're like on your team and you can feel it, and it feels like you go on this journey together. And then, you know, at the end you feel this moment when you come out and they're just so excited to have been there for this moment where they feel like they've discovered you, and you know, and you're just so grateful that they were there to be supportive in that moment, which is such a vulnerable moment. I've had plenty of people write to me and say, yeah, I got there and I was disappointed to see a white slip, and now I'll never say that again, because it was just so thrilling to to be a part of that.
Everybody
you
loves a
know?
Star is Born moment.
Yes.
And I feel like you guys both had those experiences. You got to both have that.
It's funny, we both have covered in many shows,
Yeah.
but it's one thing to be a standby for two of the largest roles ever written, and it's another thing to be a standby for an individual. And I think with Hugh especially, I am standing by for Harold, but I'm standing by for Hugh, and that to me means the most, because I've seen how much he's taken care of me, and I could never ever have successfully done a week and a half in his shoes without knowing I had his trust and support, and that is all I've had from him. I'll never be able to thank him enough for that. It's been so special.